Great start, great start. How is everyone tonight?
Right.
That was delayed. Hope everyone likes my shirt. If you can't see it, it says Run Forest Run. It's actually a reference to a film. It's advice for me, should this fuck up. This is actually only my second time doing stand-up. First time was at the Corpus Smoker. And when I was sat down at my desk wondering what to talk about, the obvious choice leapt out at me, it's my first time, losing your virginity. The only trouble with that is, no one should know what happened that night. So I sat down again. So I had to get up to stretch my legs, because the mental exertion. But I stared off into the distance, stroked my chin, in an effort to appear wise, and a second topic gripped me, advice for freshers. All freshers need advice, don't they? They're essentially just tall, smart babies. Only you don't need to change them, depending on how much they've had to drink. So I thought I'd provide this advice for any freshers in the audience. Are there any freshers here today? I really hope. That's for you. Right, keep your hands up, just for a moment. Single, second and third years in the audience, I've done half your work for you. Those are your targets. I'm not actually condoning that. Anyone who chooses their possible future sexual partners based on naivety is a little bit gross. Maybe that's just me. Honest advice. So I don't know if this is the same at other colleges than Churchill, but if you go into a formal, check what potato option they're serving. The reason for that is all one is forearmed. Now, that may sound like an odd judgment about potato at formal, but nowhere else other than Cambridge will you see the arcane wizardry staff can perform on potato. I once mistook a jacket potato for a pie. Now, I was quite happy one formal because I looked at the formal menu and it said mashed potato, and mashed potato was what I got. Do you know what you'd never expect to find in mashed potato? A potato. Standing there, bold as brass, still in its skin, was a whole potato. I'm not sure how that's possible. It was as if it had been reborn from the remains of all the dead potatoes. A phoenix rising from the mashes. Now, freshers, when you go to a club, I'm sure you've been to one of our surprising selection already. If you want to be part of the centre of the social scene, my advice to you is to charge around the place like a rhino on LSD. Reason for that is every person you bump, knock, nudge, cause to spill their drink, they'll look at you as you're charging off into the distance and they'll think, they look like a really interesting, complex and deep individual. I think I'll talk to them more later. Now, one important thing for you freshers is learn the difference between banter and being a cunt. Banter is friendly, teasing remarks between friends. If you insult a stranger and then hide behind the flimsy shield of you can't handle the bants, you will leave this world sad, alone and despised. Either that, or you'll join a few like-minded people and form a group, and that's its own sad sort of loneliness. So, debating, it's practically obligatory to get interested in debate in Cambridge. My advice to you freshers is, in a lecture, sit down to a stranger you don't know and start a conversation with emotionally charged statements like, do you think animal rights campaigners would complain less if we tested new drugs on them instead of animals? You might start a polite, even-handed debate, or you might even make an enemy. And that's good as well, because friends will come and go, but enemies are forever. You may have found that over these past few weeks, people will forget your name. It will happen, probably because you're boring, but also because they've got names flying at them from all angles. My advice to you is, when you introduce yourself, start with your name, and then follow it up with your sexual fetish. For instance, as an example, I'll repeat that, an example. Hi, I'm Damien, and giraffes give me a raging hard-on. I'll leave that there. Now, we can't talk about advice without talking about lectures, because they do actually happen, unless you're an art student. Freshers, don't be afraid if your lecture starts to feel like the finale of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can see a lot of confused faces. You'll have your lecturer standing in front of you, ready to open the Ark of the Covenant, revealing the great truths of the universe. And it turns out that the truth's too great and terrible to understand. And then, on the other side, surrounding you, will be the Nazis, all eagerly watching. And then all of a sudden their faces melt off, because their minds just can't comprehend what the lecturer's unleashed. If you feel like this is about to happen to you, listen to Indiana Jones. Keep your eyes shut and don't pay any attention. You come out of that lecture with your mind and face intact, and nothing can go wrong, because examiners won't put in an exam an essay you didn't listen to. That's a fact. My major piece of advice to you, I'll leave you with, is don't grow a beard. Or if you can't grow one, don't Sharpie one onto your jaw, or glue, pubic hair onto your face. I say that from experience. The beard thing, not the pubic hair. Now, it might not look like much at the moment. Why would I give this advice? But let's just say, one time when I walked into college, the porter turned me away because he thought I was homeless. I used to have a magpie nesting in the beard at one point. Every time I looked up, people had to shield their eyes because of all the shiny things that they collect. I was actually quite conflicted whether or not to do that joke, because I found out today that magpies actually don't like shiny things. Interesting fact. And it's quite revealing that the thing I was having trouble with was the shiny stuff, not the idea of a magpie being in my beard. What was even more embarrassing was that I'd forgotten what a magpie's name was when I was checking this up, so I had to type in shiny object bird into Google. I just want to say, fuck you magpies for making me feel conflicted about this. On to the beards anyway. There are multiple reasons why you should grow a beard. One being that your supervisor will spend 10 minutes telling you why you'd be a great Morris dancer on your final supervision before your exam. But the major reason is the praise. Now that might sound like very, very ungrateful, and maybe it is, but it's also true, because congratulating me on my beard is congratulating me on my laziness. I've always thought we should reward hard work and persistence over talent, because you didn't have to work for talent. And that comes back to beards. Celebrate the clean-shaved folks, in my opinion. Not, congratulations on not shaving, you unkempt mess of a man. Oh look, he stayed in bed all day and shit himself. Give him a medal. Just imagine if Sir Ranulph Fiennes, the explorer, if he had a really slovenly brother. Sir Ranulph Fiennes comes home after climbing Everest by handstand, or journeying to the centre of the earth, and returning home with a T-Rex or some sort of living trophy. And he comes home and he's like, hi mum, hi dad, they let me in. He's like, brought this T-Rex home for you. Went to the centre of the earth last week. And his mum's like, yes, that's nice dear, whatever. But Bob here's got crotch rot because he stayed in bed all day. So we're ordering takeaway to celebrate. It's a ridiculous example, but the point stands. It always makes me feel like one of those snobby students, the kind that brags about how well they've done in an essay or exam without doing any revision. And it doesn't even matter if they're telling the truth or not, because you can see the smugness almost evaporating from their faces. And in the end, that's my final piece of advice to you freshers. No matter how hard you try, how long you stay up to complete that essay, there will always be someone doing better than you without even trying. Someone who doesn't lift a finger in effort and laps up all the praise, and they'll probably be your supervision partner. That's been me. Thank you. Thanks for being on this.